Hello students, welcome to MBA360. If you're an MBA aspirant, you must be watching this because over the past decade and more, the fee for MBA has been growing steadily. It's always been moving northward, whereas the placement on the other hand has been falling southward. And this becomes a problem because when IIMs themselves actually start doing that, then it gives a free license for every other B school also to follow suit, which seem to have happened. And by the way, even at IIMs, when you actually get into the lower ranked IIMs for that matter, or where you actually are in the bottom half of any of the IIMs, then you actually have a much more serious problem because there is a possibility that your EMI that you're going to pay will tag you for the next 2 decades. Let me explain to you what the data is suggesting at this point in time of the kind of fee that is being charged by IIMs. By the way, we will come out to the other B schools also as we move along, because I'm starting with IIMs as a base for these stories and many other stories, because I start from the best, which have public infrastructure, public investment, and they are hopefully trying to deliver a better student outcome also. But for me, the bigger problem I keep saying is that IIMs lead the rest. So if IIMs increase the fees, everyone increases the fee. If IIM increase the better placement, the others also start working on better placements. It may not follow suit, but it happens, right? But IIM should be leading the thing in terms of the affordability, in terms of quality, and in terms of student outcomes. Are they doing exactly what they're mandated to be doing it? Because it's public investment. Our taxpayer money is actually funding them, or at least funded them up to a point in time. How are they performing is what I'm going to discuss now. So we're talking of real cost of IIM degree and how many years of EMI is what you're going to deal with. By the way, if you are preparing for getting into any of the MBA colleges in the country and you actually take the CAT examination, Career 360 has created a lot of content to help you decide and work on it, right? The past 10 years CAT question papers, the year-wise chapter weightage and practice questions, vocabulary builder, most scoring concepts. So there are a lot of content that we created to help you prepare, and it's all free. If you want any one of them, send me a message on MBA on this number, which is 8130376334. 8130376334. Send us a message MBA, and we'll have someone send you that entire list of content that we prepared to help you prepare better. Now let's talk of IIMs. Let's start with the placement data. We'll talk of first the placement data, then the cost of IIM degree, and then we move to the next level, right? Now, in 22-23, the total intake of the 20 IIMs that we have is about 7,320, and of which 7,343 were admitted because there's some kind of lateral recruitment also. 7,180 graduated, 7,135 were placed. So almost 99% kind of a placement, and the higher studies about 39 students moved in, and the median salary was 21.34 lakh across all the IIMs. By the way, when you look at the top, the blacky IIMs, it's about 31 lakhs. And when you go down to the baby IIMs, it is about 14 lakhs or something like that. Right. So that also you should know that there is a problem out there, because there is a massive difference between the top IIMs, which is the Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Kozhikode, and Indore and all. And you actually have, and Calcutta, and you have the other IIMs also, which aren't doing too well, but they have the name of an IIM. Right. And the bottom stack of the IIMs deliver far lesser student outcome than some of the very, very good private institutes that we have in this country, including the IIMs, the IMTs, the TAPMEs and all. They do very, very well good student outcome. So these where we stand at this point in time, 21.34. Now move further. In 23-24, the fee would have gone up. We're only talking of placement at this point in time. The median salary fell down from 21.34 to 20.61 lakh. And trust me, in this year also, all the IIMs would have increased their fee by about 6-7%. Right, and this 20.61 further moved down to 21.02. But if you put things in context, the 21.34 has gone down to 21.02, which is a drop of 1.5%. The inflation would have gone up by about, put together both the years, it would be about 12-13% more. But the median salary has fallen down. Across the IIMs is what we're talking about. And to that extent, when you actually have an inflation, and then you also have on the other side, by the way, which means the real income has fallen, mind you, by about 12-13%. And the cost of education would also have moved up on the other side. And we'll talk of the cost of education also as we move along. So this is the first part that we must look at, that the placement percentage also admitted also has dropped by about 0.5%, 1%. The number of students who got placed fell over the 2 years period. And the median salary fell by about 1.5%. Now let's look at the cost side of it. The cost side of it, the fee increased by 6% across the IIMs. Right, sorry, there is no average out here, but it increased from 19% over the 2 years, 11%, 11%, 79%. Which one is this? IIM Shillong increased dramatically is what it looks like. Maybe there's a question mark. I'll let it be for a moment. Now let's look at the cost side of it. In the cost side of it, when you look at it, Amritsar increased the fee by about 19%, Kashipur increased by about 12%, Udaipur increased by 11%, Vizag increased by 18.5%, Sambalpur increased by 43%, Trichy increased by 18%, and Bangalore also increased by 6%. So what you have is, wherever we have data, what I'm presenting at this point in time, your income, the salary, median salary has fallen, the inflation would have gone up about 11-12%, and the cost of education has gone up about between 6% to 20% also over the last 2 years. And I'm just talking of 2 years. Now, that might be a shorter time span for you to understand what happened. So let's look at beyond the 2 years. Let's look at the last 10 years data. Let's assume for a moment, right? We picked up a few of them, right? IIM Ahmedabad, over the last 11 years, when I look at it, 2015-17 to 24-26, which is again 10 years or whatever, 43% is the fee increase that you have. IIM Bangalore had a 39% fee increase. Kozhikode had a 57% fee increase. Calcutta had a 53% fee increase. And Lucknow had a 92% fee increase over the last 10-11 years. 10 years actually. It started from 2015-17 and moving to 24-26. No, that's quite dramatic because across the board you actually increase the fees. And remember, all these are public institutions. And even if they keep pace with the inflation, this wouldn't have been so much. But they seem to have increased fee much more than what. And what happens is, when you actually have a fee of 26 lakhs and all, which is a public institution, by the way, it's a 2-year program is what we're talking about, then it gives a free license to every other B school also to increase the fee because IIMs have increased the fees. Mind you, their capital cost is funded by all of us, but they seem to have increased the fee dramatically. Now, let's come to the real question that we're dealing with. When you talk of a median salary of 12 lakhs and all, because if you just go back here for a moment and look at the placement data for each of these IIMs, just look at things in context. In IIM Amritsar, the median salary last year is 12.29 lakh only. 12.29 lakh. When you have a median of 12.29 lakh, you will also have students being placed at 6 lakh rupees also. Because the median is 12.29 lakh, which means there are half the people who earn less than 12.29 lakh. And by the way, we did a separate video on IIM Amritsar where even the 12.29 lakh is being questioned because they don't seem to have placed all the students, is what their own audit report says. About 15% of the students, which the audit report says have not been placed in this data, which is submitted to the Government of India NIRF, they seem to have suggested that they've been placed. Right? That's one part of it. Bodhgaya is 12.12 lakh. Kashipur is 14.46 lakh. Raipur is 18.4. Udaipur 17.1. Vizag is 15 lakh. Sambalpur is 15 lakh, and so on and so forth. So when you actually have a median salary of 12 lakh, 13 lakh, 14 lakh, you'll actually have the bottom half going down to about 6-7 lakh rupees also, and some of them also not getting placed. That also is a possibility. And the highest cost is 25 lakhs and all put together. By the time you add interest and all, it will be 30 lakh plus. And most of the IIMs today, at this point in time, when you look at the total cost, including interest cost, if you were to take a loan, goes up to 30 lakh rupees as a something that you should be sitting on by the time you graduate. After that, you need to get a job where the chances are about 85-90% only, because I'm looking at audit data at this point in time. And the median salary being about 20 lakh if you're including the black IIMs. But you take the bottom half of the IIMs, the median salary seems to be about 12 lakh, 13 lakh, 14 lakh, which means what you're likely to get, the bottom half would be going down to 6 lakh rupees. And that too if they get placed. So that's what we're sitting on. That's the reality of what we're dealing with at this point in time. Now, based on that, if you now look at this whole thing, right? And by the way, Calcutta, IIM Calcutta, the fee is about 30 lakh rupees all put together. We actually filed an RTI some time back, and you know what? The highest salary they claim is 1.45 crores. But the most important thing that you must look at is this one. The lowest salary is 6 lakh rupees. So even at Calcutta, the lowest salary is 6 lakh rupees is what they say. While the average and median is 33 lakh rupees. And this is an RTA that's been filed. 33 being the average, median being 32.89, highest being 1.45, and lowest being 6 lakh rupees. This Calcutta. Just imagine what will happen to the other B schools, right? Now let's look at the overall picture of what we're dealing with. The loan amount, let's say, assume the loan amount is 30 lakh rupees all put together, because the cost is about 25 lakh rupees plus, and interest also getting added. You'll ultimately, by the time you graduate, you're sitting on a loan of 30 lakh rupees, right? Now, 30 lakh rupees being the loan, and let's assume the starting salary being 15 lakh rupees, which is the median that I'm taking at this point in time, right? Now, at 15 lakh rupees, your take home would be minus 30% because the CTC would include a lot of things, would be about 90,000 rupees. And you're supposed to be paying not more than 30% of your take home being your EMI. In this case, I have considered 1/3, which is 33.33%, which is 30,000 rupees. Now, if you have to break this into the thing, and you'll understand what I'm saying, your EMI is 30,000 rupees. Let's understand how it's going to play out. Let's understand how it's going to play out. If you are paying an interest of a EMI of 30,000 rupees, and your loan amount outstanding is 30 lakh rupees, and this is what you're paying, you're going to pay an EMI for the next 18 years. What is the assumption that I made here? The assumption is that 30,000 is the EMI and the interest rate is 10%. 10%. At this, you're going to pay your EMI for the next 18 years if you continue to pay 30,000 rupees as EMI. Now, a lot of you will also come back and tell me that, listen, sir, I'm going to increase my EMI payments as my salary increases. That's a possibility. But remember, here we are assuming that everyone is placed at 15 lakh rupees. Some would be placed at more than 15 lakh rupees, but a lot of them would be placed at less than 15 lakh rupees. And some of them will go down to 6 lakh rupees, which means they simply cannot service the EMI. The 7 lakh, 8 lakh students, people who place at 7, 8 lakh rupees, they cannot service the EMI. They'll carry their EMI through the lifetime. There is no way they can actually repay back. But let's assume that it's not 30,000, but you'll keep increasing your EMI by 10% year on year. That also I calculated. Even then, when you were to deal with that, this is the data that's coming out. You're going to carry your EMI for the next 9 years. Because what your EMI is 30,000 becomes 33, then becomes 36,300, then 39,930. Because increasing by 10% year on year, and then the 9th year you pay 64,000 as EMI every month. 64,000 EMI every single month. And what are the assumptions that we made here? Interest rate of 10%. 10%, right? Increase in EMI at 10%. Starting EMI at 10 to 30,000, and loan outstanding is 30 lakhs. If you deal with this, even then you're going to pay an EMI for 9 years. And this, by the way, there are two very, very big reasons why I am talking about this. And we must be taking it very, very seriously. This is for people who get placed at 15 lakh rupees. And this is for students who are at IIMs, who are the best of the best of the best that India has. If IIMs are leading the way in terms of charging so much fees, then what happens to all the private B schools, all the other public institutions that you have in the country, which typically follow what IIMs does, charge so much fees as these people do, and get placed at 5 lakh rupees, 4.5 lakh rupees, 6 lakh rupees and all? Because we have seen in the top 100 B schools that we have in the country, if you take the bottom half, which is the 51st to 100th ranked B school in the country, the average salary is about 6.5. The average of the median salary is about 6.5 lakh rupees. And when you deal with that, you will also have students being placed at 3 lakh rupees, 4 lakh rupees and all, which means your take home is 30,000 rupees. And if your take home is 30,000 rupees, where is the question of even paying a penny as a EMI? Because that is not even good enough for you to survive in a different city. Unless you're staying at your own home and dealing with life, there is no way you can do that. And what have IIMs done? IIMs have led the way in terms of increase of the fee in this country. IIMs have led the way in showing way for other B schools in the country to increase their fees. While they themselves, if you look at the bottom half of the IIMs, that 11th to 20th ranked, 20th IIMs that you have, the fee is very high, but the median salary is nowhere close to it. In fact, there is one, when IIMs were started and all, there was one argument that was being given that as long as the fee that you charge is equivalent to the first year's median salary, you're good. And they're talking of median salary, which means half the people are less than median salary. But that's what they were talking about. At this point in time, many of the IIMs charge about the cost would be about 25 lakh rupees. The median salary is 12 lakh rupees. Who responds to that kind of a question? And that is a challenge that we are talking about, because this is not about just IIMs. This is about how IIMs have led the way in terms of the increase of cost of management education in this country, and why IIM should be a lot more careful about increase in fees, and a lot more careful about working hard on increasing the student outcomes so that the students are capable of at least paying back the fees. Because you don't want your student to be repaying their EMI for the next 18 years, or for that matter, the next 10 years. That is not what you want to be. And this is also when we're talking about the median, there are half the people below the median is what it means. How do you respond to those students? Can we, as IIMs, start looking at working on reducing the cost of education? Can we do that for our own students? Big question. I hope IIMs respond to this. Thank you so much. Namaste.